Hey guys, today I wanted to show you something that I made recently, and it's a chord generator. It's a MIDI effect. It's a MIDI effect rack, to be precise. It's this little device, and all it does is just transforms single notes, single MIDI notes into chords. It can be useful for playing chords if you don't have the skills to play the piano. And this is a free download, and the link is in the description where you can get it. So here's how this generator works. All you need to do is press keys on your keyboard from A to L, or just the white keys on a MIDI keyboard. You can create major and minor progressions using just the white keys on your keyboard. So I'm gonna press a few buttons on my keyboard right now. And now when I turn on the generator, it's going to transform these three notes into chords. So let's play that again. And now we have this major/minor switch. If we turn this knob all the way up, we're going to have a minor chord progression instead of a major one. But we still can press just the white keys. Now let's play the same thing in minor. That's without the generator now. So you can see that the generator transposes the chords to suit the scale, and all you need to do is to just tell it which chord to play, and it will put it in the right key. So in short, this is a C major or C minor chord generator. Now let's go through all the other knobs we have here. For example, this drop bass I think sounds really cool. When we turn this all the way up, it's gonna play a note, a bass note, one octave lower from the root. It's pretty simple. Now we have this really cool knob, this one. It can be a little bit confusing at first, but it's very important. So here you can choose the extensions of your chord. For example, if it's at 0, then we're playing just the basic triad. If we go to 1, just like this, it says 1 over here, then we're playing a 7th chord. It's going to be easier to see if we go back to major and turn off the drop bass. So without the 7th chord, this is the basic C major triad. Now with the 7th, we're adding this B note, which is the 7th from C, 7th step of the scale. And it works in both major, minor keys, and the other extensions work exactly the same. So if you go to 2, we're playing the triad, the 7th, and the 9th. And if we go to 3, we are playing the triad, 7th, 9th, and 11th. Now, it's an 11th/13 because we can choose either to play the 11th or the 13th. And we can switch between 11th or 13th extensions by using this knob right here. So now it's an 11th chord, and now it's a 13th chord. Let's now mess around with the lower part of the generator, this part. I'm gonna just go back to the 9th chord. And this knob, this rootless knob, does exactly what it says. It plays a rootless chord. So if we turn this all the way up, there's not gonna be C. And it's useful because sometimes you don't want to double the root if you're already playing it with the bass. And it's especially useful if you're using these drop knobs, because what these drop knobs do is they lower the extensions by an octave. For example, if we want to drop the 7th extension by an octave, let's go back to the 7th. It's gonna drop this B all the way down to this B. Alright, and now if we had it with the Rootless setting off, you can see that we're playing two notes, one semitone apart, and it doesn't always sound very good, so you can sometimes omit the root by turning on the Rootless knob. And the same logic follows for drop ninth. We can drop the ninth extension. So it's the D that goes from here to here. And the same for the 11th or 13th is the F, and now if we drop this, it goes down here. So you can mess around with all these knobs to create interesting chord, maybe not inversions, but variations. Now the way I came up with this progression is interesting because I had a beat, a trap beat over here. It's a very simple beat. And I used the bass clip on the strings track, copied and pasted it, to create chords from just the roots. Because we are playing the first chord, the fifth chord, the fourth chord, and back to the fifth. But I was lucky because I had this beat already in C. It was a C minor beat. It's only this easy with the generator if you have a progression in C. But it's still possible to use the generator if you have a progression that is outside C minor or major. It just requires a little bit more work. So I made this progression, which is the exact same progression but in B minor. And now I'm going to show you how you can use this clip in B minor with our chord generator. So first of all, let's open up the generator. You want to search for a device called pitch. And it's going to be in MIDI effects, pitch. You can select it here and drag it before the generator. And let's hold Alt or Option and drag it after the generator. And now let's think about it. We're in B minor, but our chord generator will only work in C minor. So the B minor is just one semitone apart from C. So if we pitch this exact progression one semitone up, the chord generator will now receive information in C minor. But if you want the progression to still be in B minor, we can go one semitone down, and now we are playing the exact same thing in B minor. Let's group all these devices together, and I'm gonna A-B the progression, and you'll hear that we are playing the same thing in B minor. So it doesn't matter what key you're in, as long as you're staying within that key, you can always pitch it up or down and use the chord generator even in a very distant key. Another way of using this chord generator could be to, for example, take an acapella and figure out what key the acapella is in, and then just pitch the chord generator to that key, or leave it in C if it's in C, and play around on the keys, and then you can figure out a new chord progression for an acapella, and you can remix it using a new chord progression. Now, whenever you get lost with this generator, you can always hover your mouse over the name, and in info view, which you can, by the way, access here, you'll see the explanations. It's a very brief explanation, but if you get lost, it might be helpful. Now, I did a cool thing with this generator. I automated some knobs to go up and down. So let's figure out what these chords are. The first chord is a C chord, and we are playing the 9th version. And we have the 7th and 9th dropped one octave down, but we are playing the root and we have the drop bass. And it's just a bit more interesting than the standard minor chord. Now if we continue, you can see that we are playing the standard minor 9 chord, because these drop knobs are now in the 0 position. And if we continue, you can see that we are proceeding on to the 11th chord, because we are in the position number 3 over here. That means we are playing this 11th or 13th chord, but we have chosen 11 on the selector, and we are playing the rootless version with the drop 9th. And if we continue, you can see that we are still playing the 11th chord, but this time rootless and with the drop 7th. And that's it. You can mess around and automate these knobs to create more interesting chord progressions, because if you don't automate any knobs, it's gonna play always the same chord version. Now there's a cool thing we can do now. Let's take another track, this MIDI choir track, and we can record this progression onto this track and edit it to customize it. So let's choose as the input the 4 strings track. Let's arm this track and just record it. And yeah, now if you go inside, you can see that we have recorded this entire chord progression. So we went from here to here just by using the chord generator with a few tweaks. And yeah, now you can customize this chord progression even more. You can see it's cool because we have this melody that goes from G to A sharp to C. If you're not able to create a melody on top with the generator, you can always record a chord progression onto a MIDI track and edit it there, so you're not stuck with what you come up with the generator. It can be just a base for more ideas. Yeah, you can always edit it manually. That is pretty much all about this rack. It's not a substitute for great music theory knowledge, so it's probably not gonna make a Mozart out of you, but if you can't play the piano or you're a beginner, it could help you with understanding how everything works, and it could help you to create more interesting chord progressions. And it could be fun for jamming, just to mess around on the piano and come up with something. And you don't have to think about all the inversions and extensions and all that stuff. Also, guys, check out my Skype lessons if you're interested in one-on-one sessions. Check out our website where you can find more racks like this. You can find project files, and most of all, you can find music production courses. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. All links are in the description, and I hope to see you next time.
Hi. In this course, we are going to learn how to write melodies. You might be familiar with the feeling that your melody just doesn't sound good enough. Or whatever you're coming up with, it seems like it has been written before. You might have the feeling that your melodies sound quite horrible and you have no idea how and where to improve them. In this course, we will cover every important thing about writing great melodies, and we will form an awareness of typical errors and how to avoid them. So let's get started.